What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Anthony with the VR365 live show. Yes, what is going on? It is Sunday. It is December 2nd, and right now it is 12 noon. We are starting about an hour later than normal. This is, of course, because the VR Roundtable show, we delayed that for about 1 hour, so everything got backed up a little bit. But I am here. I am ready to go. And what happened yesterday? Obviously, that is a big question. In fact, if I look at chat right now, actually, let me look in the right spot here. Let me get my pop-out chat window situated in the right place. Okay, here it is. And Shirzad Khan City said, what happened yesterday? Well, you know, it's a good question. What did happen yesterday? Honestly, guys, okay, so yesterday was December 1st. Did everybody say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit? I did, but I didn't do it very enthusiastically. Maybe that was my problem. But what happened was, the plan is on the 1st of every month, I will cover what are the biggest VR games of that month. We kind of do a preview show where we look at the calendar, we look at when the big games are coming out, and we kind of discuss the biggest games of whatever month it happens to be. And yesterday, December 1st, what are the biggest games of December? But before I do a show like that, I make a montage, a little video breakdown of all of the biggest games that have been locked in for the month of December. And I want to have that montage ready to go to when I'm doing the games of December. So what happened was, leading up to yesterday's show, I had everything lined up. Everything was great. All I had to do was render it, and everything would be fine. Everything would be smooth. And it was maybe about a half an hour before the show was about to start. I tried to render it. It didn't render. I tried again. It didn't do it again. It was just a nightmare. And what happened was, I was so frustrated and so pissed off. I was ready to like throw something. Like it's a character flaw of mine. Sometimes I'll get incredibly frustrated with something and I practically want to break something. You know, I want to destroy something in my anger. And I couldn't destroy anything, but I canceled the show because I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. I could have done a shit show. I could have just abandoned everything, but I was just really upset and pissed off. So the hell with it, didn't do it. So we missed another day. Yeah, VR365 is starting to turn into VR345 or something like that. We keep counting down in terms of missed episodes. It is going to happen. And I'm not worried about it too much. So, you know what? We just go ahead and move on from that. But guess what? On today's show, we are going to go ahead and cover the biggest games of December 2018. What are the heavy hitters of this month? In fact, not only this, guys, I'm actually going to look at a couple of breakdowns. First of all, we're going to look at the games that have release dates, like actual dates in December. Then we're going to take a look at games that are scheduled for sometime in December, but they don't have dates. And then we're going to take a look at another group of games that are scheduled for the fourth quarter. That, well, this is the fourth quarter. We're running out of fourth quarter. Fourth quarter is October, November, December. Well, now we're in December. So if these games are going to make it out prior to 2019, they have to happen in this month. And we're going to look at a total of like 17, 18 different games in total that are scheduled to come out in this December month or prior to 2019. So we've got a lot of different games to take a look at and discuss and check out. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is I am going to throw on the first video montage I have. These are games that have actually been locked in, not all of them, but most of them locked in for the month of December with a very specific December release date. So let's go ahead and run that.
Epsilon, do you copy? Epsilon, Epsilon, come in. Get out of there ASAP, now. Run!
There I was, surrounded by enemies all alone, like sausage in a house with 10 starving cats.
But Grandpa, what about Charlotte?
Oh, yeah. Of course, let's save Charlotte.
will defend you to the death, minion! Okay, no, I won't! Booyah! That's how you do it!
We have to get this reactor back online!
The HRF will be in range.
Welcome to New Austin.
Alrighty, well there it is. That is the breakdown for December. Now these are games that are actually locked in. I mean, not necessarily locked in, but they have specific dates. It's not just December 2018 or fourth quarter or whatever like that. Like, for example, we have Arca's Path. It is on the screen. It is coming out on December 4th. Prison Boss, of course, is coming out on December 4th for PlayStation VR. Let me go ahead and switch over here. I'm going to get off of this trailer real quick. Hold on one sec here. And let's go ahead and look at the December schedule. So here is our December release schedule, part 1. And we can see here on December 4th, Arca's Path, Prison Boss, both of those are coming out. Now, December 6th, this is kind of a rumor, but there is a French website that is reporting that Red Matter by Vertical Robot is going to hit PlayStation VR on December 6th. Now, this may be a European, like a European only kind of a thing, or who knows, or maybe this rumor is completely out of whack and it is not actually coming on December 6th, but that is Red Matter possibly hitting PlayStation VR. On December 7th, we have a game called VRETIRED. I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to pronounce this, but this is coming from Borisoft, and this is kind of very similar to Cyberpunk or Breakout. It's kind of one of those Breakout style games in VR. Looks kind of cool. Guns and Stories Bulletproof is heading to PlayStation VR on December 7th. So that is some of the early December games. Let me go to December schedule number 2. And this is our December release schedule number 2. On December 10th, Contractors. This is Phil Yarn's game. This is what Phil Yarn is all about. And Contractors, Caveman Studio, that is December 10th. On December 14th, we have Borderlands 2, which is coming via Gearbox Software to PlayStation VR. This is one of these where a lot of people are going to be kind of very sad about this. In fact, somebody in chat, Airman929565, says, I always see a game coming out and think, I'm going to get that game. Yeah, I'm going to get it. And then they find out it's a stinking PSVR exclusive. Yes, this is one of these kinds of games. Borderlands 2, you see the video and you're like, oh yeah, Borderlands 2, that's a big game coming to VR. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's only coming to PlayStation VR. Now we have another game called Paradise City VR. And this one might have looked like the oddball of the bunch. There isn't an actual video for this. There isn't a trailer, but I kind of made one myself, grabbing some of the images off the Steam page for this game, just throwing some random music behind it. And Paradise City VR is interesting because they're basically trying to make one of the first strip club experiences in VR. And I know you guys are highly anticipating that. Yeah, the first strip club, drive around in your Mustang, ride a boat, Miami Beach. I don't know exactly what is going on here, but that is Paradise City VR. We can take a look at that Steam page in a little bit here. And then on December 18th, Scraper. Skyscraper. Yeah, Scraper First Strike by Labradec Studios. That is hitting PlayStation VR. PC VR players have already had Scraper, and apparently the reviews are good. I still have not gotten into Scraper myself personally, but the reviews seem to be pretty good on Scraper. It apparently is not a dud. That is hitting PlayStation VR on December 18th. Okay, so these are confirmed, well, not confirmed, but they're games that have actual dates behind them. Now, we have another group of games that they are scheduled for the month of December, but we don't have a locked in stone release date. So why don't I go ahead and run that trailer real quick, and then we can come back and talk about some of those as well. So these ones I'm calling sometime this December, ? That's kind of the way I'm looking at these. So let's go ahead and check this out.
throw knives if he's got to. Light it up. Quick scope. Give me another quick scope, baby. Double time. You've got to leave some for the rest of us. It's like a one-man army. Oh, man. When you put your head in the game, you can do anything.
Alrighty, so yeah, this is sometime this December. These are 4 different games. They are all scheduled to hit in the month of December. We just don't have exact release dates for these games. So these are the type of games where we're going to wake up one day and we're going to find out, oh, Slightly Heroes comes out on December 9th or whatever, but we just don't know yet. So Slightly Heroes by Hat Rabbit Entertainment. This was a Daydream game. I believe it is coming to like Oculus Go and like the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive and stuff like that. Slightly Heroes, we saw that. Blade and Sorcery by Warp Frog. Now, I have heard something about December 14th. I don't know if Blade and Sorcery is actually going to enter early access on December 14th, but I've heard something about December 14th, but I don't know. Virtual Army Revolution by Haptic Pulse. Unfortunately, I had an incredibly low resolution trailer for that. You might have noticed it was as pixelated as it possibly gets. You really need a Samsung Odyssey Plus to try to check out Virtual Army Revolution. I actually grabbed the trailer from Steam directly, which they use a very low resolution of that. Zombies Only Live Once from Game Cooks. We also saw a little bit of a trailer for that. So Game Cooks, that is the developer of Vindicta. Zombies Only Live Once is coming from them. So these 4 games also expected sometime this December. Blade and Sorcery is probably the biggest of the bunch. That, of course, is the game that has the very interesting physics that is going on. I have gotten into that game and actually played that game, and the physics are very impressive, but I do have some concerns on some of the other parts of that game. But all of these are a couple different games to be interested in as well. But guess what, guys? We're not quite done. I have one more montage to throw on the screen, and this next one here is going to be about 6 different games that maybe will arrive prior to January 1st, 2019. Are these games going to make it out prior to 2019? So let me go ahead and run that trailer, and then when we're done with this one, we can discuss all of these December games and kind of think about what are the best games of this bunch, what are we looking forward to, and those kinds of things. So let me go ahead and run this one last trailer.
huge environments to explore. Dominate the leaderboard. Challenge friends online. Experience the thrill. Rush, coming soon.
Alrighty, so that is the final breakdown I have, and these are all coming before 2019. That is the question. We do have Rush by the Binary Mill. It is heading to PlayStation VR, possibly in this month. Wrench by Missing Digit could possibly arrive sometime this month. District Steel. Now, this one's probably a long shot, but Barricade Studio on their Steam page, it still says 2018. Who knows? I'll still hold out a little bit of hope for that. Subject 264 looks pretty freaking indie. It is by Virtual Guys. Looks kind of interesting. Don't know about that one. Polybius is supposed to arrive sometime in the fourth quarter. Well, this is the fourth quarter, so let's see if it happens. And Darrell Valley, which has been delayed, it seems like, quite a bit. Like, we've heard about this game for a long time. We thought it would be available a long time ago. This is coming from Alt Future. That is another one that could be out there, that could be on the docket. So basically, we have listed now with all three of these different little trailers that we've gone through, there are a grand total. Let me go ahead and grab a different trailer now. Just throw it on something miscellaneous here. But we've listed out 19, a grand total of 19 different games that could possibly be coming in this month of December before we get to the year 2019, before we start January 1st. And I don't know, it seems kind of like a bit of a lackluster month. What do you guys think? Do you think it's kind of lackluster? Although normally December is a relatively lackluster month. And one of the things I could say about last year, I do remember last year that once you got past like Doom VFR, I'm trying to think what came out in December last year. There were a couple of different releases that hit, but it really slowed down after that. And I do remember there was like a 2 or 3 week period of time that it seemed like hardly nothing was coming out. And that was actually kind of enjoyable for me. And I'm sure it was enjoyable for Steve and Gary and Chris of VR Roundtable, because and for Paradise Decay and for anybody else, Epix, Sebastian, Sweeviver, Nathy, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis, Cass and Cherry, you know, everybody that is doing this stuff. It's nice when you have a little bit of a break, when you have a little bit of respite, when you have a little bit of a temporary time frame where nothing is coming out. Maybe you can go back and play Fallout 4 VR. Maybe you can go back and play some Brass Tactics, or, you know, any particular game that you had that you kind of had to set aside because of you're constantly being bombarded with brand new games. So we might have a bit of a slowdown in the back half of December. That is typically normal. But what we could do is we could kind of think about some of these games that are coming out here. What is the biggest game of the month? And I think that's pretty easy. The biggest game of the month is Borderlands 2, but it is a PlayStation VR release. And a lot of you guys are watching this, you might not have a PlayStation VR, and so you're just not hyped on Borderlands 2. So if we take that one off of there, what is the next most anticipated game? Maybe it's Contractors. You know, if you believe Phil Yarn, it probably is Contractors, because a lot of people have been highly anticipating that game. I have not gotten into the betas or any of that for that game. I wouldn't mind getting in there, but the way they're doing it, and a number of different developers do this, is you have to jump into Discord. You have to be in their Discord server at the right time to win the Willy Wonka ticket to get into their game, which that's fine and dandy. I don't mind that they do that, but for those of us that are kind of busy doing other stuff, maybe it'd be a nice way to try to get into your game from some other kind of a standpoint. I don't know. Or maybe that's me just being spoiled and entitled. That could possibly be it as well. But contractors haven't had an opportunity to try that out. Another possibility for the biggest game of this month, it could be Blade and Sorcery. I have gotten into Blade and Sorcery. I have played it. The physics are next level. The physics are really cool. The downside is that it's built inside a game that for the most part is kind of like a wave shooter, but not a shooter. It's a wave melee kind of a game. And so I just don't know that it's going to be that super incredible. And then we have a lot of these other little smaller games, and we just don't know how cool these games are going to be or not going to be. And a lot of them are a lot smaller. So that's some of the stuff that we're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce back over here to chat and see what some people are talking about. Stuart Gregerson says, holy S, Darrell Valley is finally launching. Hype. Well, no, we don't know. So Darrell Valley was shown in maybe coming before 2019. It was shown in that little segment, and it has quarter four 2018. So we don't know. We're hoping that this happens. And then Paradise Decay says Rush. Woohoo on PSVR. I play this game all the time on Rift and Go. Yes, I have heard a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about Rush. I know that it originally hit the Oculus Rift and was kind of exclusive to the Rift for a little while, but then I believe it hit Steam as well. So if you are an HTC Vive player, you can play Rush. It is also on the go, and it is now heading to PlayStation VR. That could arrive in this month as well. And Stone Punk Studios, he mentioned, seeing the trailer for District Steel and that he thought that looked really cool. And it actually does. It does look really cool. In fact, why don't we go ahead and switch over to our web browser window? We could check out some of the Steam pages for some of these games. Let's see. Okay, so this one right here, this is kind of interesting. This is called Paradise City VR. Welcome to Paradise City, the city that never sleeps. Prepare yourself for an amazing experience full of beautiful girls. While exploring area, uncover multiple locations where you can meet and watch naughty girls. Yeah, how family friendly is that? That's very family friendly. And our release date here is December 14th, 2018. This is being brought to us by Alino VR. And in a slightly related development, they did actually shoot me an email and asked me if I would be interested in trying this out. And I said, gee, would I be interested in trying out the first virtual reality strip club? Sure, why not? Why not try it out? But it actually looks like they're trying to do a little bit more here than just have a gratuitous strip club. We can go ahead and click on some of these images here. See, there were only screenshots, 6 of them, no trailer, and I tried to make a little montage out of this. But yeah, so here's your little strip club here that you get to walk around in. And I guess you get to ride some motorboats around as kind of a distraction, I guess. You can drive some really nice Mustangs. Those look like 1966 era classic Mustangs, which I'm a big fan of the Mustang, 1966 Mustang. I remember when I was, I think, a teenager, I had this dream of owning a cherry 66 red Mustang with, nice leather interior and all of that. A dream unfulfilled. Okay, let's go to this next image here. Yeah, I don't know. Is this like set in Miami, like Miami Beach? You got the blimp. The world is yours. Scarface. They actually should have just made this a Scarface game. It has a little bit of that Scarface look to it. Here we go, Miami Beach, maybe just walking down the boulevard there. And then, Harry, there's those 66 Mustangs. It is a Mustang club. Actually, I don't know that those are 66s. Those are that different kind of version, slightly different. And it looks like you're staying at the Grand Rock Motel. HBO is included. HBO is included. So that is Paradise City. It is a pretty small game here. Certainly not one of the biggest coming in December 14. They're saying trailer and screenshots possibly, I guess, more screenshots coming soon. There's Eden Street. There's the disco, there's your apartment, there's the terrace, the nightclub. So I don't know, kind of interesting, kind of an interesting idea. Might be a complete and utter dud, but that is Paradise City. Let me go ahead and scroll down my chat a bit here. Scarface in VR. Yeah, exactly. Why shouldn't it be Scarface in VR? You know, they could have all the cocaine, man. You know, have that scene that was in front of that hotel where those whacked out Colombians with the machine guns and everything. Scarface is such a classic movie. That's why I've always said, why can't we relive some of these classic movies in VR, in first person, you know, where you go up to that hotel room and he says, "You got the stuff?" "Sure, I got the stuff. I just don't got it with me right now. It's in my car, man. I go right back. I get it from my car." You know, but like, why can't we play out these experiences in first person? But you know, one of the things that Stonepunk Studios was talking about was District Steel. That might arrive this month. So let's go ahead and switch over to this Steam page. Yeah, this is District Steel. Now, when this first hit, it was actually called Dimension Dude, okay? Dimension Dude, man. What's up, dude? Dimension Dude. But they changed the name to District Steel. And I gotta tell you, so I used to play hardcore PC games back in the late 90s. And I don't know why, but this game for some reason reminds me of PC games from the very late 90s, like Kingpin. Does anybody remember Kingpin from the late 90s? It was one of the first games that I know of where they were just dropping F-bombs and MF bombs and all kinds of really bad language, and it was kind of famous for that. But you know, looking at some of these screenshots, like, I love this. Looks so cool to me. Dimension Dude, I think it looks really cool. I mean, not Dimension Dude, District Steel. I'm sorry, they changed the name to District Steel. This is Barricade Studio. Now, the downside is I have not heard a peep from these guys in years. So who knows? This game may have been canceled. For all I know, Barricade Studio may no longer exist. But ooh, look at those colors. I love that. I love these interesting looking robot dudes. I love the way they move. I love the vibe of this game. This is called District Steel. I really wish that it would still exist. But like, looking down here, I mean, there hasn't been any information that has come from Barricade Studio in the longest time. But it does say, hey, release date 2018. If we think positive thoughts, maybe it will happen. Maybe we will get District Steel. And of course, the first game that is due to arrive, the first big game, is of course Arca's Path. This is coming on December 4th. I have played a little bit of this. This does feature head-based movement. In fact, that's the only thing it features. And I know a lot of people, they want to write this off, full stop, and just be like, F this. I have no interest in Arca's Path. But you know what? It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Even with the head movement and everything. It takes a little while to get adjusted to it, but it is kind of cool. I got to get back in this, play this some more, because this does come out Tuesday. The embargo is up on Tuesday, and I do want to give my full opinion of this game on Tuesday's episode. And Stonepunk Studios says, oh yeah, Kingpin was great and over the top. Yeah, for some reason. And T-Dub says, I still have Kingpin. Yes, this is the late 90s, man. I was a PC gamer in the late 90s. I mean, I played Half-Life when that first came out. I played the original Unreal. You know, I'm trying to think of like games that came out like 98, 99, early 2000s, stuff like that. And I know Kingpin was kind of around that time. And for whatever reason, I don't know, looking at the screenshots of District Steel kind of reminds me of that type of stuff. But yeah, so let me go ahead and pop in this page for VRETIRED. VRETIRED. Okay, yeah, so there's this game here, VRETIRED. This is one of the games that we saw in our montage here, and this also had a very crappy trailer that I actually grabbed right off of this Steam page, so low, very low resolution. But it says stunning VR arcade in retro wave style on December 7th. This will hit Borissoft. VRETIRED is what it's called. And Dynamic gameplay will challenge not only your dexterity, but will help you warm up. Party mode, calories calculation, portal to the 80s, go to the age of arcades, sports cars, and neon. A fresh look on a time-tested mechanic, variety of bricks and levels. So it does look very simplistic, kind of cyberpunk, you know? I mean, one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is, we've got Cyberpunk VR, which is a brilliant game that is incredibly underrated, that nobody freaking talks about it. This looks very cyberpunk-y, but is it going to be better than Cyberpunk? I don't know. But yeah, this is one that is coming on December 7th. And I Am Rhett says, VRETIRED better be $2.99. And Logan68 says, looks like Chappie. I think he's talking about District Steel. Some of the robots in District Steel do look a little bit like Chappie. So yeah, it's an interesting month of games that are going to be coming out this month. Let me go ahead and pop on the Contractors page. Contractors VR. Yeah, this is, of course, Phil Yarn's favorite right here. This is coming on December 10th from Caveman Studio. Contractors is a team-based competitive multiplayer shooter game for virtual reality devices. Experience the next level in virtual warfare. It looks good. It does look good. I mean, looking at some of these screenshots, looks pretty sweet. One of the games that we saw that is a little bit less known here is Virtual Army Revolution. Let me pop that one up. This one, oh my God, the trailer was just unbelievably horrible. There's actually a demo for this. See, there's a demo. I have not jumped into the demo, but whoops, what happened here? Okay, Virtual Army. This is it. Virtual Army Revolution is a fast-paced, casual multiplayer FPS for VR, ranking unlockable weapons, skins, and attachments, simplified weapon mechanics, and focused on action-packed gunplay. This actually kind of sounds right up my alley a little bit in terms of being just more fast-paced, more casual, more easy, maybe not as much like fiddling with clips and reloading your clips and making sure the safety's turned off and all of that stuff. This kind of seems a little bit more Call of Duty-ish, where it's just shoot, shoot, run and shoot, hide, run, shoot, get sniped 2 seconds after you step on the battlefield. Haptic Pulse is the developer. Don't know too much about Haptic Pulse. We can take a look at some of these screenshots here. But, you know, I mean, this game is entering some major competition because you're dealing with all these other games like Zero Caliber, Zero Killed, Contractors, War Dust. I mean, there are so... Look, this guy just killed Gas Man. That is awesome. And a straight-up headshot on Gas Man. But... you know, the visuals look kind of cool here. The movement, like you saw the trailer, it was blurry and pixelated and it looked kind of janky, but the actual movements of the human characters I thought looked pretty good. So this is Virtual Army Revolution, potentially a game flying way the heck under the radar, maybe. And then, of course, let's see, Slightly Heroes. Do they have a Steam page for Slightly Heroes? Oops, I misspelled that. Let me redo this again. Or wait, did I spell it right? Slightly Heroes. There it is. Okay, let me go ahead and click on this. So yeah, here's Slightly Heroes. It is coming supposedly in the month of December, a casual multiplayer shooter for VR. This is by Hat Rabbit Entertainment and looks pretty good. You know, it looks very colorful, bright and cheerful, kind of Incredibles kind of a art style to a degree. A lot of people are using that kind of an art style in some different things there. That is Slightly Heroes, and that's potentially a December release. Then we have Zombies Only Live Once. Zolo. Yeah, Zolo, Zombies Only Live Once. And this, of course, is Game Cooks. It does have this low poly, cubic style, kind of Minecraft-ish art style. This one, the trailer doesn't look that good in this one, honestly. You know, I was making the montage for this, and this is one of these games where I think you got to be inside this game playing this game from the inside, it's probably a lot cooler. And it does look very indie. I mean, this is definitely on the indie side of things. So that's kind of what is going on. Let me go ahead and switch back over to my standard scene here, and let's see what some people are talking about with some of these different games that are going on. Let's see here. Well, Prince Alexander says, I hope there is some kind of Alien VR game announcement coming in December. Yes, that could possibly happen on, I believe, what is it, December 6th is when they're going to do the Game Awards 2018. So there probably will be a handful of VR announcements on December 6th. Games, some flat games that might have a VR mode. And there could also be a couple exclusive VR games that are announced on December 6th. And then, of course, on December 8th, we talked about this on VR Roundtables episode, but Kinda Funny is doing their own version of the PlayStation experience. We might hear about a couple PSVR games on that as well. But I don't know that this Alien game or any of these other games are actually going to be available in this month. We might hear about them this month, but that is it. And T-Dub says, visually from Zolo to Hellblade. Yeah, it sure is a major difference going from Zolo to Hellblade. Hellblade, of course, made by a AAA development studio that has the chops in terms of cinematics. I mean, Ninja Theory, is there anybody that does cinematic this type of shit better than anybody else? That is Ninja Theory. Of course, they were recently acquired by Microsoft, but we do believe they are going to continue to bang away on some VR games here and there. And Chris says, Cyberpunk was fun. Hell yes, I am a big fan of Cyberpunk. I think it's awesome. Doesn't play too well, though, on the Oculus Rift for some reason, or sometimes doesn't even want to start up on the Oculus Rift. And I Am Rhett says, Virtual Army Revolution demo won't download for me. Anyone else having that issue? Yeah, I should probably try to download that issue and see if I can get in there. And Stuart Gregerson says Contractors is so good. So we do have one other person besides Phil Yarn that is representative of Contractors and saying Contractors is going to be pretty freaking solid. It's going to be pretty freaking good. So, you know, just scanning through all of chat here, and that's pretty much what most of everybody is talking about in terms of all these games. So basically, my number one question for everybody, I've brought up 19 different games. Oh, let me show you guys the Steam page for Subject 264, because, you know, Subject 264 is another game that is flying under the radar. Let me just show you guys the Steam page for this one. Subject 264. This, of course, is being developed by Virtual Guys, and all we have is this 2018 thing. You know, it kind of looks a little bit like a Oregon Quarter kind of a game, definitely some kind of horror type game, but this game could end up absolutely awful. Like this is one of those, like, look at that empty ass room. That is an empty ass room. Where is the furniture? Are they preparing to have their popcorn ceilings removed? Because I am. One show note, guys, Tuesday and Wednesday, I am going to try to do this show like normal. But one thing I got to tell you is, see these empty rooms here? I got a couple empty rooms in my own house over in that direction. We have this like popcorn acoustic type ceiling, and we're getting it removed. And we're having a place that's going to come out. They're going to remove it. And I don't know how much noise and everything that is going to cause, but I'm just going to try to do this show, but it's going to kind of be like Job, you know, with the lawnmower. Man, Wednesday is going to be a double dippage, because Wednesday they're going to be removing they're going to be painting over the freshly removed popcorn ceilings that have been removed and then textured. They're going to be painting on Wednesday, and Job is going to be in the backyard as well. So there's going to be a lot of chaos going on, but I'm going to try to bang out the show if I possibly can, and assuming we don't have any problems. Okay, you know, one thing I did want to go to real quick here. Okay, so this is the Oculus subreddit, but you know what? There was actually a pretty interesting little story that was on the Vive subreddit, and I thought maybe we could talk about that really quick. Okay, just looking at some stuff that is on the Vive subreddit right now. Spice and Wolf, The VR Kickstarter is now live. We did see a trailer for this. This is kind of the Japanese anime kind of a deal. Some people are talking about PewDiePie. He recently did a video with Pavlov VR that has like 4.5 million views, and it is done very well for Pavlov and the developer Dave Kills. Talk about internet millionaires, or talk about developer millionaires. We've talked about Dylan Fitterer of Audio Shield fame. We talked about Brian Lindenhoff of Climby fame. And these guys might be millionaires. I don't know. You know, maybe they're not. Maybe they're nowhere close. Maybe they're 100,000aires. But Dave Kills, I don't know how many people are on that team. I'm assuming there's a guy named Dave, and I'm assuming he kills it, right? Pavlov could be in a very nice situation thanks to PewDiePie, because if PewDiePie plays your game, people know about your goddamn game. That is a beautiful thing. But scrolling down here, oh, Joe Rogan talks about the HTC Vive again in his latest podcast. I'll have to check that out later. Don't know anything about that. But I did see I saw something. It was something about, oh, okay, here it is. What's happening with VR? Okay, this is the one that I thought was kind of interesting. Let me go ahead and click on this. We could talk a little bit about what this guy's talking about. So here's what this guy is saying. I check in here every so often, but lately here and the VR scene seems to have slowed down a lot after quite a strong spate of great VR games, but since then I've heard very little. Is it because of big AAA releases, or is the VR train, gulp, slowing down and lack of VR games? Where's my VR boys at? Where are the boys? Well, and the number one answer here is playing VR games. That's where we are. But it's kind of an interesting question. Do you guys believe that something is going wrong in the VR industry right now? Like, are things down? Like, is it a downer in the VR gaming industry right now, or is everything going like normal? I mean, I know we haven't had a tremendously big release recently. Like, we haven't had a Fallout 4 VR come out. Skyrim VR was way back on April 2nd. And what's the last like really huge monster VR game that has hit Steam and Oculus and everybody? Well, I'd kind of argue like Windlands 2. Windlands 2 is a big ass deal. Of course, it hit the Oculus Rift store. I mean, it hit the Oculus store and was exclusive. That pissed a lot of people off, but it ended up hitting Steam not too much later. Of course, Red Matter also came to Steam recently, but I don't know, is things are just kind of down in the dumps in VR in general. And of course, SSCH the Dash, Sash the Dash says, what about Astrobot? Astrobot's a pretty big freaking deal. That came out on October 2nd. That's not that old. And T-Dub says PSVR is as strong as it's ever been. In fact, it's even stronger than it's ever been because more and more games keep coming to PSVR with reckless abandon. And Andrew Rogers says Pavlov and Onward have the same number of players. Standout survives as it has bots. And Airman 929565 says games. I'm not sure exactly what he means by this. Do we need more games, or do we have enough games? What is the question? I feel like we have plenty of games. Of course, I get a lot of game keys, and so I'm swimming in games. I have so many games that I have to play. Like, I need to play some more Squishies. I haven't been far enough in Squishies. I got to play Arca's Path. I really, you know what I should have did last night and I didn't, is I kind of wanted to play a little bit more of Blade and Sorcery from Warp Frog, because I knew we were going to talk about that, and that might be one of the bigger December releases, maybe coming sometime around December 14th or so. Blade and Sorcery, could that be a pretty big game that could come out this month? So I don't know. I mean, it's slowed down a bit. You know, it definitely has slowed down a bit. Paradise Decay says, Anthony, I think the VR hype is growing. And Sash the Dash says, I like saying squishies. We all like saying squishies. Chris Gould says, is it a lack of major funding? You know, one of the things I was kind of wondering about in terms of funding games and development of games, I kind of thought we might have a few games that came out of nowhere to really shock it. And we have had a few games that have come out of nowhere. Look at this game on the screen right now, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I mean, wasn't it like there was like a span of 1 week before we knew that Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was going to have a VR mode and it was going to be available in a handful of days. Like, bam, it just came out of nowhere. Boom, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, we found out about it, came out of nowhere, bam, we were playing it like a week later. But what I'm kind of talking about is I thought there'd be a lot of companies that would be developing games with a longer term window of time. Like maybe they started on it in 2016 and they've been developing the game all of 2016, and they've been developing it all of 2017, and they've been developing it most of 2018, and maybe it's been in the oven and it's been cooking, and maybe it's finally ready. And maybe we will get a big announcement at Game Awards 2018. Who knows? Maybe one of these Valve mystery games could come out of freaking nowhere. We know there's still going to be an announcement. There's still going to be a shoe that is going to drop with this mystery Valve hardware and with at least one of those Valve games. I mean, it has been a long time and a lot of years. There was a guy that was on stage, a Valve employee. He was on stage in the year 2017 saying that a year from now, everybody is going to be really freaking jazzed because they're going to be showing off an incredible VR game a year from now. And that was in 2017. So what happened to that? I know, Valve time. Valve time is what happened to that. But I still feel like there's some good things that are going on here. So anyways, that's some of the stuff that we're talking about right now. We're talking about the games of December, and then we're also talking about, are we in a rut? Is it a problem situation? Are we having some issues here? Hybrid Energy says Knuckles controllers plus Half-Life 3 exclusive to VR. Bring it, Gabe, bring it. That would cause riots in the streets. You know that, Hybrid. That would cause straight up riots. Half-Life cannot be exclusive to VR, not Half-Life 3. Now, maybe a prequel, a specially built VR prequel to Half-Life, there is a possibility there. And hey, if we believe Upload VR, it's as good as done. Like, it is locked in stone. They have an inside source that says there is a Half-Life game, a VR game that is based on Half-Life, that is a prequel, they believe. Speaking of Upload VR, we got Perfect Circle 1000 checking in. It's always nice to see anybody new in chat or a name that I haven't seen in a while. Sash the Dash also appears to be kind of new as well. That is cool. Let me go ahead and bounce back over to our little web browser over here. And why don't I go ahead and check out Upload VR real quick? It's been a minute. Let me go ahead and refresh this just so we have the latest information here. Okay, so they have their VR game releases for December. So we're thinking along the same lines here. So why don't I go ahead and click on this and see what they got lined up in terms of what they believe is coming. And a lot of the same stuff you can see here. Arcus Path, Contractors VR, Blade, and Sorcery. They seem to be three of the big ones. And what are some of this? So they're talking about a lot of little games maybe too as well. Like a lot of these little ones that I'm not really covering. There's VRETIRED, December 17th. We talk about that. The Spy Who Shrunk Me. Okay, non-VR only this year. Ah, man, what a downer. So that's December 18th because The Spy Who Shrunk Me looks freaking awesome. But I guess the non-VR portion is this year, so I'm not sure why they have this on the list. Contractors, of course, December 10th as well. Virtual Army Revolution, Blade and Sorcery, and then they got some of their mobile games, PSVR games. Red Matter. So Red Matter, I mean, this is a rumor to the best of my knowledge, but December 6th, Red Matter. I wonder how good it's going to work on PSVR. Red Matter is underrated in my opinion. I really like Red Matter. Gungrave VR. Here's one that I forgot about. Didn't have it on my charts. December 11th. 40 Bones. I don't know, man. Looking at the trailers and stuff for Gungrave, I'm not really feeling it. I think I would kind of pass on that. I do know they have this Persona thing, but you really got to be into Persona. You got to be one of those Persona guys, and it's $60. and they have like some kind of VR viewer mode. And then Dreams open beta does begin in December, so that open beta for Dreams, that is coming up as well. So we've kind of covered pretty much all of the stuff that is going on for the month of December. So I do feel pretty good about that, because yesterday that was my plan. All the stuff that I was like, all these little trailers, that was my plan. And that's why I was so pissed off when like a half an hour before my show yesterday, it just didn't work. And I was like, ah, man. Okay, the Oculus Rift Plus Touch is 329 bones at Amazon and Best Buy today. Another great deal. Don't know how long this is lasting. Gee, who wrote this story? David Haney, shocker of shockers. U.S. retailers, Amazon and Best Buy are offering $70 off the Rift package, which drops it down to $329. Is this like a one-day deal? Or the offer doesn't include the Marvel Powers United VR game, so you kind of get boned from that standpoint. But yeah, still a pretty good deal. Don't know how long that price is going to last. But if you're looking to buy a brand new VR headset, not a bad option. Firefox Reality VR browser is in the building. I tried playing around with that one time. It didn't seem that great to me, but I only tried it for a couple of minutes there. This is actually an interesting story right here, and we did cover this very, very briefly on the VR Roundtable show today. HTC considers Shadow VR their Oculus Quest competitor. And honestly, the biggest news with this is if they truly believe that Shadow VR is the competitor to the Oculus Quest, then what the hell is the Vive Cosmos? What is the Vive Cosmos? Because I personally thought the Vive Cosmos was the Vive Focus being rebranded as the Vive Cosmos, but adding 6 degrees of freedom controllers and having it all baked in and just calling it the Vive Cosmos. So, but if the Vive Cosmos was that would be the Oculus Quest competitor, right? But if HTC is saying Shadow VR is their competitor, the Oculus Quest competitor, then what is the Vive Cosmos? Are we going to find out more at the Consumer Electronics Show in January? Is Gaben going to be on stage? Is the Vive Cosmos the top secret, super secret Valve HMD? Is it going to have the Vive logo on the side of it? Maybe. There's a possibility. Maybe. Who knows? And that's pretty much what is going on over here at Upload VR. We could take a real quick look at Road to VR. Let me go ahead and refresh this one time real quick. Okay, so a Steam VR update brings motion smoothing, easier key binding. We've kind of heard about this already. And then, of course, we did hear about this Amazon and Best Buy deal for a limited time. Prison Boss coming next week. And so nothing really new is going on. Although that Kickstarter for Spice and Wolf, that is in effect right now as we speak. That is going on over there at Kickstarter. So that's kind of the news that's going on, folks. I'm kind of starving right now. I got to admit, I'm very hungry because this show is an hour later than we typically do this. But that was because VR Roundtable, we delayed an hour. Let me go ahead and check, though. Let's see what people are talking about here in chat. We're talking a little bit about, is there a bit of a lull in the VR gaming industry right now? Are we kind of in a trough of disillusionment to a slight degree right now? Doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount of hype that is going on right now. And Chris Gould says, not enough adoption of VR to make it worth it for big cash, for big devs cash. We will only get big announcements if there is major funding behind it. Don't look at Facebook anymore for this. Sorry, maybe. Okay, now here's one argument I will make, Chris Gould, though. What if there was some stuff that was in motion 3 years ago, but it's just becoming ripe now? Isn't that possible? I believe there is a possible for that. Like something that was in the motions 3 years ago, but it's just now being finished. I still believe maybe something like that could happen. Hybrid Energy is talking about Half-Life 3 again, and he's saying no, it wouldn't, because I'm saying there would be riots in the streets if it was VR only. And he's saying, no, it wouldn't. People can go cry. Half-Life 3's fanboy hype is a bit overrated. Half-Life 3 released probably wouldn't even break Red Dead 2 sales. Ooh, that is, yeah, you know what? You're probably right there, though. You actually probably are right. Because think about it. Do millennials give an F about Half-Life 3? No, they don't even know what the F it is, really. So, yeah, but millennials know what the hell Red Dead Redemption is. So, I mean, yeah, you kind of have a point there. Lethal Weasel VR says, patience, it will come. And Kevin Mars says, look, man, I'm still waiting for that Left 4 Dead game. What the hell ever happened to that? Sash the Dash says, if Half-Life 3 would be VR exclusive, all the haters would come out of the woodwork and create a big shitstorm. I mean, there's going to be a shitstorm regardless. Whatever happens, there's going to be a shitstorm. Because a lot of people think Valve is just wasting all of their time by working on any of this crap, and that they're wasting their time. Any time spent on VR is time wasted. You can still go back to NeoGAF and get into some of these threads, and there still is a lot of hate for VR. It's kind of unfortunate. It's died down a little bit, not as much hate as we used to get. So it is a little bit better there. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on right now. Hybrid Energy says the VR market is oversaturated with indie games. Every day I hit VR section on Steam, there are 2 or 3 absolute terrible ideas for VR games released. Let me go check now, for example. Yeah, I could check live right now. You guys want to do a live check on what's going on Steam? We can do that. That is actually a fun thing to do. Okay, so we can go over here to games, go to virtual reality. Here we are, virtual reality on Steam. And so let's see some of the stuff. Puzzle Out VR, Palace of the Azure Dragon, Defeat the Beat. Oh, this is available right now. Okay, Defeat the Beat. Oh, it came out on November 30th. I didn't even realize that. So it came out a couple days ago. I kind of like the name, Defeat the Beat. Don't know if it's a good game or not. Going for 9 buccarinis. So Defeat the Beat is out there. Lost Cave. You know, remember this one. This is out. 3 user reviews. This arrived on November 30th, just a couple of days ago. And this is 20 bucks. I wonder what the reviews are like. Let's click on it. I wanted to post a super quick pre-review for those who, like me, looked at this immediately, had that feeling of, oh no, I've been hurt before, blah, blah, blah. I would like to say that this game is legit. Very polished game from an obviously capable developer. You will not have to break out your English-Korean dictionary. The English is a bit broken at times. This guy says recommended, VR headset, and Locus88 recommended. So we have a couple of recommendations, but can we really trust this? I don't know. I don't know. This guy has 1.2 hours on record, 1.9 hours on record, and less than a half an hour on record. You never know with the Steam releases. Steam reviews can be gamed like none other. Beer Pong League, Vestige, VR Race. This looks kind of weird, just looking at the visuals. Vestige is a room-scale VR documentary that uses volumetric capture to take the viewer on a journey into the mind of Lisa as she remembers her lost love. I'm just saying that looks kind of trippy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of 0 Days VR. Did everybody check out 0 Days VR? Because 0 Days VR was badass, and it kind of has visuals that look a little bit like this at certain points in time. Kind of that Minority Report kind of a visualization of like hologram type stuff. This looks kind of weird and cool. I mean, just looking at this, I'm actually interested in this. Just looking at these little screenshots here, it looks kind of sweet. Looks kind of interesting. But of course, again, you just never know with this type of stuff. But this is only $5. There's 2 user reviews. The developer's mom and dad. Okay, so this guy says beautiful, not only moving, but also visually stunning. And this guy says, this is very fresh for me. Only 10 minutes after, though this will rank with a few I hold as pushing and exploring this new media that has arrived, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, again, it's always a little bit sketch on trusting the opinions of some of these people, but it's only $5. So kind of cool. Vestige is a room-scale VR creative documentary that uses multi-narrative and volumetric live capture to take the viewer on a journey into the mind of Lisa as she remembers her lost love. So this kind of looks like something that would normally be an experience that we normally would get free, but they're charging $5 for it. But I don't know. That looks kind of sweet. Maybe I should pick that up and try it out. But yeah, and then I never did try this color blindness one. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that is showing up on Steam. Yeah, there's always some random stuff out there. So going back over to chat, Lethal Weasel VR says the Lost Bear lives in the Lost Cave. Hybrid Energy says Lost Cave does look interesting. Chris Gould says kind of interested in Lost Cave myself, perhaps going for Scraper first, but no independent reviews on either. I wonder why. I Am Rut says, did anyone enjoy the Colorblind app? Was so good. Being super sarcastic, by the way. Yeah, see, somebody said they thought that Colorblind app was horrible and that it will give them color blindness or something just experiencing it. And Tesrim says, Vestige looks kind of sweet, but it's not a game. And Sash the Dash says Scanner Sombre was great in flat, would be awesome in VR. Scanner Sombre, I know you could pick that up for like $2 at one point. I don't know what it's going for right now. Alrighty, folks. Well, I got to go ahead and get out of here. We've been going for a little bit over an hour. I did want to kind of go a little bit longer on this episode because of my kerfuffle on yesterday. But you know what? It is all good. We've covered a whole bunch of games that could be coming in the month of December. 19 different games that could possibly come in the month of December. And we even missed a few, like Gungrave coming for PSVR and a couple of others that might sneak out as well in the month of December. So we do have some stuff to look forward to this month. I think my most anticipated game is definitely Borderlands 2. How could it not be? December 14th is going to be hyped. And so that's pretty much going to go ahead and wrap it up. Let me go ahead and get my little outro logo here on the screen, and I can say goodbye to everybody here on this Sunday fun day. It wasn't so much of a fun day. It wasn't so much of a shit show. We had a lot of stuff that we had to get through and cover. Maybe that will happen tomorrow, but you know what? There's some other stuff we could possibly get into tomorrow as well. So that's going to go ahead and do it, guys, for this episode of VR365 Live. Once again, my call out to everybody, please, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. It is not that irritating. We only pop out one video a day, and sometimes we even miss a day. So if you go ahead and subscribe to this channel, you're not going to get bombarded with a ton of stuff. It's not that big of a deal. And go ahead and like the episode if you liked it. And if you hated it, that's fine too. Go ahead and hit the dislike button if you hated it. Hit one or the other. It is a good thing to have some kind of emotional reaction to this episode. And then, of course, the other thing I'll ask everybody is after this episode is done and in the books, go ahead and leave a comment about, maybe leave a comment on some of the games you're most hyped for in the month of December, or maybe some of the games you think are most overrated. Or you could also talk about, are we in kind of the doldrums? Are we kind of in a trough of disillusionment? Has the hype left the building, or is it just kind of a little bit of a slower time, and let's enjoy it and hit up our back catalog a little bit? There's a lot of different ways we can think about it, but that is going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here. See everybody tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time, our normal time. See you guys then. Have a wonderful weekend. Take it easy. Later.